Yesterday was a crazy day of rumors that were debunked right away by Xbox themselves. It has to do with the console. Yes, the console is still not dead. They are still manufacturing the next generation of Xbox. So we are in a crazy news cycle right now with Xbox, all because of the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate price raise to $30. Has so many different things happening, so much negativity around the Xbox brand, and you can come up with all of the different arguments as to why this is the way it is. But obviously, coming out with the $10 price raise when they did is not a good look whatsoever for Xbox. People are very pissed off about that because they went so quickly from the $20 to $30. You see a lot of times with subscription services, they eventually get to the price that the company wants the subscription service to be at as they've increased the overall amount of content within it, as the cost of it go up, as the value does go up for it. But they generally increase it incrementally. If $2 here, a dollar here, whatever it is. Xbox went from $20 to $30. The optics are very bad. People are very pissed off. And generally, when Xbox makes moves that have pissed off the gaming community, we start to see all of these other rumors trickle out to continue that negativity and the outrage towards Xbox and the company and Microsoft specifically. And it's been no different this time. In fact, we are back on the cycle of there will be no Xbox hardware going into the next generation, all from a leaker, Sneakers SO here from Reset Era, who generally comes out when there's negative Xbox news and puts out more negative Xbox news. Now, this leaker does not have a perfect track record. They've got many things that wrong and just don't make sense. They've got other things correct as well. So you really have to take these things with a grain of salt. But luckily, if you didn't go crazy about this right away, Xbox came out instantly and reconfirmed their stance on the next generation of Xbox and them investing in creating the consoles. And I think that is a very good sign and also a difference from other times we've seen negative Xbox rumors, because sometimes they just say nothing and they just kind of wait. This time they were obviously looking at this and thinking they had to nip it in the bud, and we'll go over everything that has occurred. So this comes via Sneakers SO and NeoGAF, and I saw it on Reset Era. I'm also reading this off of Reddit, so it's in multiple places and you can go and read it. But here is exactly what Sneakers SO is saying. And it has to do, again, with the Xbox hardware not being there in the next generation. He says, without going into much detail, not long after the last round of layoffs, the next one should be coming in Q1 26, by the way, and it's going to be just as massive as the last one. So Q1 26, sometime between January and March, the end of March is when expecting some big layoffs. Now, the layoffs are happening across the entire industry. I wouldn't be shocked at all if layoffs do happen, well, especially right now with everything that is going on. You're continuously seeing it. And if you're a big company like Microsoft, generally you have more than 1-2 layoffs when you're trying to reduce the cost. When things are changing, like having AI implemented into a company, you're going to see layoffs. So I would not be shocked if that one does come true. It says some rumblings out of Xbox starting to come out that were a little hard to believe. The ramifications of the Call of Duty Game Pass gambit not working out were just starting to get properly measured, but the thing that really stuck out to me was that suddenly really concrete plans for actual Microsoft Xbox hardware went from being definitive to up in the air, which was really startling given that this thing was meant to be out relatively soon. Now, when it comes to the whole Game Pass and Call of Duty stuff, there was a report that they made $300 million less than they could have by not selling it on Xbox. And there's a lot of holes in that article. It's anonymous employees. You don't know exactly what they're measuring it against, because one of the things is Call of Duty Black Ops 6 dropping into Game Pass. All the reports that were coming out was that it was very successful. Increased Game Pass subscribers, was the best selling game of the year, made record revenues and everything for the game. So it does seem like with that report, it's Xbox and Microsoft looking at Call of Duty and trying to milk even more out of what they are making, which is what companies have to do. I think people think that because a company makes billions of dollars that they can just stop trying to make more money, especially if they're publicly traded, which is living in a fantasy land. Every single quarter, every single year, they have to improve upon what they made the previous quarter and the previous year to keep shareholders happy. And that's why they have to keep making moves like this that can be anti-consumer at times. But Call of Duty, what I'm understanding is they looked at the numbers and thought, we made a ton, we could make 300 million more. Funny thing is the game is still in Game Pass. And maybe that's why they had to raise Ultimate the $10 extra. It says here, it was one of those situations where despite folks being told, hey, we want to pull the trigger on this in 2026, the steps would need to take in the lead up to delivering a new console gen weren't being met. Lots of things that were sure things started getting pushed. The Costco retailer pulling Xbox, and apparently they are one of many that we'll learn about soon, told me all I needed to know. I think the whole retailer stuff is Xbox winding down this hardware generation. They don't want to sell the Series X and S anymore. That's what that kind of feels like to me, especially with the price raise. They don't really care. They are looking forward to the next gen, whether that's just the hardware, which I don't think it's that. I think it's their entire ecosystem. They're trying to get their cloud up to speed. They're trying to expand that out as much as possible. And then a part of that is building the next console, which selling that next console into your home gives you access to the cloud. So cutting it off as well would make no sense. It says, to sum it up, the future of Xbox is software publishing with a significantly honed in focus on profitable IPs, Call of Duty, WoW, Minecraft, Candy Crush, and Forza Horizon. Not shocking either, because the margins need to be improved across the whole industry. If you remember at the beginning of this generation, Xbox was taking more risks with games. I do believe going forward, they are going to be taking less risks. They are going to be focusing on the heavy hitting titles that they know will make the money, which is similar to basically the entire industry right now. All of the different publishers out there, you can do direct comparison between Xbox and PlayStation if you want. PlayStation has been very conservative, very risk-free here with the titles that they have been putting out all generation. And they're going to continue to double and triple down on that. Xbox, I feel like, has more leeway, but they will be focusing on the main titles. I mean, even this month, you have games like The Keeper coming out from Double Fine, which will not sell well or do very well commercially, but they still took the risk, allowed them to make that game. It says, cloud gaming being the home of the Xbox platform, transitioning Game Pass into basically becoming the point of entry subscription for xCloud access, which will continue to drive its price hike higher, by the way. They aren't done there just yet either. And releasing their software on any device that has a marketplace and users willing to buy their titles. Maybe some OEM things will take up the Xbox name, but given that this is clearly a collapse in favorable mindshare and faith in said brand, I'm not even sure a third-party OEM is going to want to have an Xbox console by the time Microsoft is done with their reorienting of their division. I do believe there will be third-party OEMs on top of first-party Xbox consoles. Funny thing is, I mean, we're getting an ROG Xbox Ally right in the next few weeks. So if it was really that negative towards the mindshare, I don't even think Asus would have continued with making this handle, but they obviously did, and we'll see how well that thing does sell. It does look like it did have good pre-orders. Now, this rumor here, again, they're saying hardware's dead. One thing Xbox did very, very good this time comparatively to other times when they allow rumors to just run like wildfire across the internet, especially amongst the content creator crowd. I mean, you can just take a look at views, numbers, all these things. When there's negative Xbox content, videos blow up. They do far better. And there's content out there, there's creators, there's the news cycle. They want to make sure that cycle of negative Xbox news lasts as long as possible to get as many views and clicks as possible on those stories going forward. But this time, on a weekend, on a Sunday, Xbox came out and clarified right away. They didn't waste any time. So trying to nip this in the bud as fast as possible, and I think is a good thing. I think it's a smart thing that they came out, made a statement. You still will have people out there believing that, yeah, it's not true. They're just saying this. And that's fair because Xbox and Microsoft have gone back on decisions multiple times. But the reality of the situation is right now, today, on October 6th, 2025, that rumor is debunked. It is false. It could change in the future if something happens and they decide that, okay, we are not making any more consoles. But this is the statement that Xbox came out with. Given here to Windows Central, Jez put out a great article summing up other logical reasons why it doesn't make sense for them to cut the hardware out. I would recommend going and reading it. But this is the statement from Microsoft. They say, we are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. The key here, by Xbox. Obviously, they're wanting to make sure that people don't try to come up with any other things here as to who is building these consoles. They say, for more details, the community can revisit our agreement on the announcement with AMD. And if you remember, back in June 17th to be precise, Sarah Bond came out with a video and announced that they made a multi-year partnership with AMD to build the future of Xbox devices, including the console. Specifically, she says, Xbox, our vision is for you to play the games you want with the people you want anywhere you want. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. So, right there, they mention specifically here the console. So, the rumor is absolutely debunked, but people seemingly want this to happen. You see a lot of people celebrating that if Xbox could be dropping out of the console hardware space altogether, like it would be a good thing. This would be the absolute worst thing to happen, especially if you're on PlayStation. If Xbox just bows out of making any sort of hardware to compete with people who are going into the next generation, deciding whether they want to pick up a PS6 or whatever Xbox device they have, whether that's an OEM device or a first party device, it would be the worst thing. PlayStation already does lots of anti-consumer moves. I mean, they're being sued in many different ways. They've been sued in multiple countries. If you think that Xbox leaving the hardware space is going to be a win for PlayStation, I think you're out of your mind. I think what's going to happen is that PlayStation is going to become more anti-consumer and the prices for PlayStation will go up even higher. So it doesn't matter where you are on the whole console war battle, even though console wars are over, you don't want Xbox leaving the hardware space. You want them there just for the competition side of things at the end of the day, more so than anything else. But whenever these rumors start, you just see people coming up with different rumors to expand off of the main rumor. And it's just made up stuff. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're just putting stuff out there to cause the outrage, to keep that outrage engagement and cycle going. And of course, we have MBG here saying the rumor going around is Judson Althoff is now the one making the uncomfortable calls for Xbox and is the person responsible for pulling the plug on the Xbox console. And you have Tom Warren quote tweeting it and saying Judson Althoff is the CEO of commercial at Microsoft, which has nothing to do with the Xbox division led by Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. If you're going to make shit up, at least make it believable. So this was something that was going around significantly. We'll give MBG the credit though. He did erase it. He did own up to it, which is far better than you will see a lot of people doing, especially when rumors get debunked. They will just allow them to stay there. They won't even put a pinned comments in their video or whatever. So good on him for actually going there and clarifying it. But yeah, that was one of the things that people were spreading around, like they knew exactly why this decision was made, even though the decision has not been made yet. So the future of Xbox is still here in terms of console, if you're wondering about that. But the question here amongst a lot of people is, will this last? Will they stay on this path until the thing is released? Because it's a huge company. They can at any point decide to change gears. But I do think there are a few things in play here that makes it very hard for them. I think the likelihood that a first party Xbox console coming out is really high. That's my opinion on it. I may end up being completely wrong, but I think it's extremely high. Again, because of the whole AMD thing that they made that deal. Pulling out of that, it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all after making that deal. And you do want to get consoles, even if it's like 30 million into the homes of people, especially if it is a gateway to power the cloud, which is the thing that they do want to expand the most. And it's a gateway to Game Pass. We know that Game Pass is significantly more successful right now on console. It's one of the places where it is the highest subscribed and used. Imagine pulling that off. The thing that they've invested so much money in, the thing that you still get Call of Duty day one in. Imagine pulling that out of people's homes as an access point to the service right now makes absolutely zero sense. It will make more sense, as I've talked about this for years, when more people have left the console, transitioned over to PC, transitioned into fully cloud. I think they're working their way towards that. That's probably their end goal, is to get as many people on the console today to abandon it at some point and move to a different device. And then eventually, when they look at the numbers, they've reached that threshold and that line, they'll be like, okay, now we can cut it off. I just don't think we are there yet. So I do believe there will absolutely be a next-gen console. The other thing here is the handhelds. We've heard so many rumors back and forth on the dedicated handhelds. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't make their own dedicated handheld, if they just continue with Asus partnerships, maybe a Lenovo partnership and other companies out there, whatever they have going on behind the works. And one of the main reasons why this could be the case, and I've seen this before, not just in relation to Xbox, but it is the price of the actual chips for these handhelds and the amount that you need to buy in order to get this thing produced. We have this report here from Xbox about Xbox from Insider Gaming saying Xbox's dedicated handheld was canceled because AMD required 10 million units. Now, this is being claimed here by Kepler L2. Again, a rumor, could completely be false, maybe debunked today. Who knows? Maybe Xbox comes out with this report and says that's not true, but we'll see. It says the news comes from the reputable AMD and hardware leaker Kepler L2, who has reported on many AMD related leaks in the past. And according to Kepler, Xbox's dedicated handheld was canceled because AMD wanted a massive 10 million unit commitment for a dedicated system on chip. And it was said that the Steam Deck only selling 5 million units and Asus ROG and Lenovo Legion only selling 1 to 2 million. Microsoft didn't want to take the risk, which is unfortunately, whether you're looking forward to this or not, is the right call. If they wanted you to purchase 10 million, that would be a losing venture right off of the bat. I mean, I think the Steam Deck is the market at the top right now for these PC handhelds in a place where PC handhelds are getting more expensive. Steam Deck is relatively affordable and getting more affordable because it's weaker. I mean, it isn't the best handheld to get if you want the great performance, but it's still a good handheld. Selling around 5 to 6 million units for the Steam Deck would indicate to Xbox and Microsoft that they may not even get to that. So having to purchase 10 million makes absolutely no sense at this point. So if that is the case, I would say they made the right call from the business perspective. From the consumer perspective, it would have been cool to see their take on a first party device. I mean, we're getting the Asus ROG Allies in about a week from now, which will be with the new Xbox user interface. I would assume it would just be basically the exact same as that, but made with Xbox plastic instead of Asus plastic. Who knows? But there it is in terms of the handheld. We'll see if that ever does change. Maybe the deal gets reworked where they don't have to purchase 10 million and they continue with the production of those handhelds. So that was the crazy weekend in terms of Xbox hardware. We're going to continue to see this. It has not stopped. And this is why I say I think people just kind of want Xbox dead, because every opportunity they have to try to say that the console is gone, they will take it and spread this as far as possible, even if there's really no confirmation or backing behind some of these rumors. And I think that would be a bad thing overall for the industry. But I will end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.